Leisure World, Laguna Hills. Here, more than 21,000 retirees with hopes for a good life have fulfilled the vision of a builder who, more than 25 years ago, was concerned about the quality of life in the retirement years. He challenged the staff of the University of Southern California to research the needs of the aging. The results became the basic ideas with which our leisure world came into being. This research also planted the seed for a new development at the university, later to be known as the Ethel Percy Andrus Gerontology Center, where research on aging still benefits our community. Our visionary builder, Ross Cortese, set up his development firm in 1951, combining his first name with Moore, the Scottish word for land, to form the Rossmore Corporation. Beginning with the development of adult communities in 1961, he chose the Unisphere as a trademark for the Rossmore Leisure Worlds. Its original location in Laguna Hills was a small park-like area on El Toro Road, between what is now Delaney's Restaurant and El Camino Real, soon to become Interstate 5 freeway. The huge sphere, rotating on its axis above a fountain in a lovely garden setting, was an imposing sight for all who traveled the King's Highway between Los Angeles and San Diego. Commercial development has replaced the garden setting, but the global world in its new location still identifies Leisure World to freeway travelers. The globe was not the only curiosity for passers-by in those early days. Taking shape was the stately, many-arched building to become headquarters for the Rossmore Corporation, later to be dubbed the Taj Mahal by early residents. Bulldozers were grading the nearby hills. Many motorists left the highway for a closer look at this development. After careful surveillance, Mr. Cortese had chosen a portion of the open range land of one of the old Spanish land grants, known to later generations as the Moulton Ranch. Here he began the development of what was to become the most successful retirement community in the land, bringing developers, architects, gerontologists, and government officials to our gates from around the world. The Rossmore Corporation had risked $15 million in this community before a single unit was sold. But visions were to become realities in the Laguna Hills leisure world. The first 10 families who took possession of their manors on September 10, 1964, have become a self-governing community of more than 21,000 residents. When asked his formula for an outstanding retirement community, Mr. Cortese said,
"I have a theory that older people want to own their own quarters and live independently. Yet they want to be near others in their own age group. And they want to be spared maintenance details. I want to supply the basic needs of life for people 52 years and older, create a serene atmosphere of beauty, provide security, provide recreation, and religious facilities, and then leave the living to the individual."
As we celebrate our 25th anniversary, it is fitting that we review the ways in which these goals have been achieved. The Historical Society's anniversary book details the development of Leisure World. In this brief program, we will look at the facilities and how the residents used them to shape the life we enjoy today. A story in Practical Builders magazine of May 1966 said, "There are virtually no constructions or living facilities at Rossmore Leisure World that cannot be found elsewhere. But nowhere else will you find them all together and done so well. The concentration is not on housing, it is on people." One resident among the first families to move in described Leisure World as an island in the midst of nowhere. Their new homes were set among rolling hills of barley and bean fields, grazing sheep and cattle. But they were welcomed cordially at the gatehouse and at the housing site, where friendly helpers greeted them with donuts and coffee in the laundry room. Can you imagine the confusion of 10 moving vans arriving the same day in a small area of new construction? There was a small grocery store on El Toro Road near the railroad tracks, where this office building now stands. Except for Manning's small snack shop, which closed at 5 o'clock, no other food was available. Within days, families were greeting each other by first names, and soon instant neighbors became a familiar term. As more new residents arrived on almost a weekly basis, this neighborliness evolved into what is known as the spirit of Leisure World. The early residents were proud of Clubhouse 1 with its white arches and red tile roof. The tower, housing a 24-bell carillon, stood above any other building on the horizon. One writer said it was symbolic of the full dreams of the developer. A good statement, for Mr. Cortese had adorned the 4 sides of the tower with blue plaques bearing his family crest. 2 fountains graced the club entrance. In one stood the Veil, a bronze statue cast in Rome by the artist Pino Conte. Each Monday evening, the clubhouse became the site of a complimentary dinner of welcome for 100 new residents. This lasted for 30 weeks, when the number of move-ins became greater than could be accommodated. Nevertheless, these dinners and early activities helped 3,000 residents begin to mold the Leisure World spirit in that first year. We who bought into Leisure World in the early years remember choosing our manors from among the attractively furnished models, and the location from a mock-up in the sales building, now the administration building. There we could select our wall color, carpeting, drapery, and even items of furniture. Once our decision was made and recorded, we waited until 90% of the manors in that mutual were sold before construction began. This was a requirement of FHA, the Federal Housing Authority, providers of the mortgage funds. These cooperatives were purchased with a very low down payment, a 40-year mortgage term, and interest at 5.25%. What a change from today's market. To provide for responsibilities in building and managing the community, 2 nonprofit corporations were formed in 1962, the Golden Rain Foundation and the Leisure World Foundation. The Golden Rain Foundation is owner and/or trustee for Leisure World mutual assets and for facilities common to all mutuals. It also provides such services as security and recreation. Pictured is the first board of trustees. Leisure World Foundation was formed to sponsor, sell manors, administer and manage Rossmore Leisure Worlds. This open bus, used for carrying prospective buyers, was a familiar sight on our streets. Much of the credit for the successful development of resident leadership is due Robert Price, who became administrator in November 1964 and served until his retirement in 1978. Our Leisure World is a self-governing community. Each section built became a new mutual corporation. These resident directors of Mutual Number 1 were elected in 1965, and each new mutual had a board of resident directors. Mr. Price worked with mutual officers to create stable and positive leadership. Today, all of the first 6,300 manors have merged into United Laguna Hills Mutual. At the end of 1965, just a year and 4 months after the first move-ins, Mutual 2 was completed. There were now 379 buildings and over 5,000 residents. Clusters of neighborhoods, set among green lawns planted with many varieties of shrubs and trees, showed promise of the garden-like community to be enjoyed in the years ahead. Residents with green thumbs added lovely floral touches to the landscape. Friendship Walk, following the line of construction, had become a favorite pathway for strolling and making friends. And the ancient sycamore tree in Aliso Park, probably over 400 years old, became a matter of pride to the residents. The local DAR placed an historic plaque nearby. The single bus service, with its genial and accommodating driver, who stopped at any manor and often carried groceries to the door for the ladies, now had to be expanded to serve the growing community. The coming of Alpha Beta Market, located at the site now occupied by Circuit City, eliminated the marketing trips to Tustin and Laguna Beach. The center arch was the entrance to Alpha Beta, and the realty office now occupies what was once the post office. Communication was important to the community. In March 1965, the first edition of the Leisure World News was published and delivered free to every manor. Channel 6 also began operation in 1965, providing entertainment and news and indicating activities available for residents. Rossmore headquarters was moved to the Taj, an impressive building at any time, but especially beautiful in the light of the setting sun. Among the first and most popular facility to be provided was the golf course, a source of great enjoyment for both men and women. Running the golf course a close second was the Olympic-sized swimming pool at Clubhouse 1. Clubs began to form to use the clubhouse all-purpose room. Travel Club 1 is said to be the oldest social club in Leisure World, serving armchair travelers as well as our many global explorers. As early as 1965, the county government recognized the need for a fire station at this location and purchased the land for the present fire station. It had been only 16 months since the first move-in. It was evident that the developer was keeping his promise to provide facilities and to create a serene atmosphere of beauty. The residents, too, were beginning to develop activities to serve their own interests and to enrich their lives. 17 clubs had been created under the auspices of the Recreation Department. Among them were state clubs, bringing together those who had shared life in a particular state. The Harmonaires, a popular women's singing group, was formed and still actively serves the community. The columns of the impressive arcade at Clubhouse 1 began to be decorated by ornamental plaques. Residents also showed interest in classes to improve skills, to develop hobbies, to expand knowledge. September 1965 saw the beginning of adult education classes under the auspices of Tustin High School. Later, the classes became a part of the Saddleback Unified School District and finally of the Saddleback Community College Emeritus Institute. As of spring 1989, 173 classes had an enrollment of 9,720. Most classes have been offered as a result of joint planning by Leisure World committees and the college staff. The Emeritus Institute is the largest department of Saddleback College. Leisure Worlders are appreciative of the offerings of the Emeritus program and proud of the relationship we enjoy with Saddleback College. Another early development also speaks for the quality of individuals attracted to this retirement community, the Leisure World Library. Started by a dynamic leader, Katie Wright, as a project of the Panhellenic Club and assisted by professional librarians and residents, the library first occupied a small area in Clubhouse 2. Outgrowing those quarters, it was moved to the former snack shop next to the sales building. By 1976, a fine new home for reading residents was completed on the same site. This cultural institution, with its volunteer force of professional librarians and supporting staff, working without pay, provide many hours of pleasure for thousands of readers in our community. The library is a living symbol of the leisure world spirit, proving that leaving the living to the individual was indeed a wise decision. Realizing that the story of the leisure world development and the spirit evolving from the wide interests of the residents should be preserved, the Leisure World Historical Society was incorporated as a nonprofit corporation in November 1977. Let us look next to the development of security in those early years.
From the beginning, security has probably been the greatest attraction drawing potential residents to Leisure World. Nate Wilner, now in his 80s, remembers well standing at Gate 1 on September 10, 1964, and allowing the first moving van into Leisure World. He is the only one left of the original 9 guards, still a proud member of the force.
From my first day as gate officer on Gate 1, I have seen our security department grow from Gate 1 to Gate 14. From 1 patrol car to 7 cars operating around the clock. And I've seen the department grow from 9 officers to nearly 300.
Including an increasing number of women, I might add. Though some officers had had previous law enforcement experience, in those early years, a goodly number were retired doctors, dentists, lawyers, educators, servicemen, or machinists, as Nate Wilner was. He has tales to tell of the early days when the rolling hills were still home to raccoons, coyotes, skunks, and bobcats. These animals frequently took to exploring the habitats of the human intruders into their valley. But that's now past history. A few rabbits still like to call this home, but they're not too popular with some of the resident gardeners because of their eating habits. He describes, too, helping the Moulton Ranch cowboys round up a herd of cattle who liked the looks of the new establishment and were headed for further investigation. Long since then, barbed wire on top of the ornamental wall surrounding Leisure World has proved a considerable deterrent to both 2- and 4-legged vandals or pranksters. There was one incident worth mentioning, however. At Lion Country Safari, a nearby attraction no longer in existence, a lady hippo named Bubbles got tired of babysitting and went on a brief safari by herself. The event was recorded in the weekly Leisure World News by the former Disney studio artist George Rowley, who delighted us weekly for a number of years. What a display of stout-hearted discipline, unmoved by the pleading and fluttering eyes of Bubbles, as the guard firmly declares, "You can't enter the grounds without an ID card." This car has its ID on the windshield as the guard checks it in. The guards often need to give careful directions to visitors with passes, for it takes a bit of doing to learn the mysteries of our manor numbers. Officers make the rounds in patrol cars on 8-hour shifts. Sometimes we get careless, you know, and we need a little discipline. Citations are given out for traffic violations within the community, with a penalty attached on a point system. There are always officers on duty at the Efficient Communications Center in the administration building, where they keep watch around the clock for any developing problem. They're always within radio contact with the personnel at the gates, the patrol cars, Orange County Sheriff, State Highway Patrol, and County Fire Station 22. Although the security officers are primarily concerned with crime prevention, they also serve in many other capacities. Since practically all of them are residents, these are our neighbors and friends, ready to lend a helping hand in any emergency. They're all trained in first aid and many in CPR, and are in close contact with county paramedics, ambulance, and fire equipment. A security officer accompanies every emergency call. They also assist in less life-threatening situations. Into all our lives come occasional small domestic catastrophes. We lock ourselves out of our manners or out of our cars. Our refrigerator goes on the blink with food prepared for a company meal next day. Or a faulty pipe precipitates a small flood which may inundate our downstairs neighbors as well as ourselves. And somehow these disasters usually seem to occur on a weekend or after hours at night. Never mind. A telephone call brings a security officer to the rescue with a fine array of tools fit to deal with all contingencies. For a small fee, he will even transfer the perishable food from the defunct refrigerator to a large freezer at headquarters for overnight protection. What a blessing! Where else could one feel so secure? My name is Cutie. I take my master for a walk every morning and every evening. I need to remind him that I have to stay on a leash when I'm outdoors. I was terribly embarrassed the other day when Master forgot to bring along my toilet articles. You know, paper towels and a trowel. And a man in a white car stopped and spoke to him about it. What wonderful peace of mind to know that on request, these same invaluable men and women will keep an eye on our property while we travel around the world or on a trip with the leisure wheelers. Another aspect of security has to do with maintaining good health, perhaps by a brisk walk at any time, day or night. Then there are those who are never happier than when they can work outdoors, digging in the soil and watching something grow. For just such people, 2 garden areas have been made available. Resident farmers spend countless happy hours tending their gardens and sharing the delicious results with family and friends. Time out to compare notes with kindred spirits. For some people, it's quite enough exertion to stroll down to watch the mallard ducks that frequent Leisure World and feed them a bit. Hey, wait, fellows, save some for us geese. Our extensive fitness program, supported by hundreds of loyal fans, grew from a research project carried on by Dr. Herbert DeVries under the auspices of the USC Gerontology Center. In 1968, 41 Leisure World residents, aged 52 to 87, met 3 times a week in Aliso Park, down by the old sycamore tree, for an exercise program which within 6 weeks showed such dramatically favorable results that it continued for 4 years, 2 years with men and 2 with women. After a great clamor to create a permanent program, a strenuous exercise class with 10 students was organized to meet once a week. 4 men recovering from strokes met for mild exercises.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Are you ready to go to work? Yeah! All right, let's move over to the side, right hand on the deck. Ready? Bring your knee up to your chest and down, up.
A water exercise class was started and was an instant success. The teacher of these groups was Diane Edwards, a delightful, enthusiastic, and highly skilled young woman, hired first by PCM part-time to set up a few classes, then later instructor in the Saddleback Unified School District. Speaking of water brings to mind a highly trained group of synchronized swimmers called the Leisure World Aquadettes, formed in 1965. Membership in the group of 20 to 25 is a distinct honor. They're now practicing for their annual beautiful water ballet performances. Back to the developing fitness program. Word traveled fast about Diane's classes, and they filled up rapidly. In 1975, Billy Noonan was hired to help Diane with the equipment room. And in 77, Terry Robinson was selected as another outstanding class instructor and also in charge of the equipment being added. As a result of Prop 13, in 1978, the program was transferred to Saddleback Community College as part of the Emeritus Institute. With wall-to-wall students, the need for more space became very evident. Careful planning went into the building of a multi-purpose structure in harmony with the architecture of Clubhouse 1, with one section for exercise classes and with portable equipment for badminton or basketball, and the other section for exercycles and other bodybuilding equipment, such as rowing machines, wall pulleys, arm ergometers, and what is known as the Universal Gym, with 12 kinds of muscle strengtheners. It's important to monitor the participants so they won't overdo in their enthusiasm for the machines. Currently, there are 29 classes in the fitness program, taught by 11 instructors, including Diane and Terry, plus 6 assistants and 7,500 students. Perhaps the ultimate provision for a sense of security was taking shape as a mock-up was made of what would be Saddleback Hospital. From the day of the first move-ins in 1964, a 24-hour on-call home service was in effect, and arrangements were made with South Coast Hospital, South Laguna, to accept Leisure World patients. Clubhouse 1 temporarily housed the pharmacy and the Leisure World medical staff, 2 doctors, the director of nursing services, and 4 secretaries. But early in 1965, the first section of the medical center was completed, and all the medical facilities moved into their new home, which also housed the offices of a number of Leisure World doctors. The Leisure World Medical Center Auxiliary was organized by a group of dedicated women who recognized the necessity of clerical assistance for the doctors. Since the 2,000 families already living in Leisure World had been promised a hospital, it became clear that the plans must get underway as soon as possible, and some decisive measures had to be taken. An important action was that this nonprofit hospital would be available to all patients, not just Leisure World residents. Also, beginning with Mutual 12, the Golden Rain membership was increased from $500 to $1,200 to create a reserve fund for hospital construction, which began in 1971. At the same time, a support group named the Associates was formed to help make the dream come true of a local hospital facility, second to none. This loyal group, now numbering more than 1,100 members, since its inception has raised over $1.6 million for the hospital. In 1972, in anticipation of the opening of the hospital, the Medical Center Auxiliary, greatly enlarged, became the Saddleback Community Hospital Volunteers. Here, the women in their pink smocks and their counterparts in blue jackets stand proudly before the completed hospital. Subsequently, 3 other volunteer groups were established. The Thrift Chateau opened in 1974 with loyal workers and generous donors of saleable goods. The thrift shop brings in close to $200,000 every year for the hospital. The attractive hospital gift shop is under the creative management of two Leisure World women. Highlighted by the red and white decor, their motto for the shop is Heartline to Cardiac Care, for which all the proceeds are designated. The fourth auxiliary group is the Meals on Wheels program. With a nominal fee and a physician's referral, 2 nutritious meals prepared in the hospital are provided every day to shut-ins. Teams of volunteers deliver the meals to the patient's home. Fully as important as the food is the encouragement that comes from the daily contact with the friendly, caring volunteers. Adjoining Saddleback Hospital and Health Center is the latest addition, the Women's Hospital, designed to meet the needs of women of all ages in the Saddleback Valley. It was opened with a week of celebration in the spring of 1988. In addition to the Women's Hospital, Saddleback Hospital and Health Center is distinguished for its Heart Institute, its outstanding cancer care, and its rehabilitation center, the only inpatient unit of its kind in South Orange County. How fortunate and secure we can feel with such superb facilities available to us.
Looking back to the end of 1968, the sharp rise in interest rates forced the abandonment of the FHA cooperative housing. The first condominiums were ready for occupancy in February 1969, bringing new and more spacious building styles with added amenities. In 1970, Rossmore Corporation sold the Taj and moved to smaller quarters. By this time, it was evident that Clubhouse 1 and Clubhouse 2 could not serve adequately the many kinds of activities desired by the developing community. It was decided that Clubhouse 3 should include an auditorium to accommodate the women's clubs and such cultural events as lectures, travel shows, movies, plays, and concerts. It is home to our music and theater groups. The Leisure World Orchestra gives instrumentalists opportunity to continue a lifelong interest, and the chorale is a means of expression for those who love to sing. Theater groups use their talent to entertain residents, and some are seasoned professionals. Others have developed talent they didn't realize they had. The auditorium is in use almost every night and many afternoons, often for special events, such as this all-county children's group. Everyone enjoys the barbershop quartet and the larger group of melody men, as well as Opera 100, travel films, and fashion shows. Camera Club members and guests gather 2 evenings a month to enjoy slideshows. The billiard room is a popular place, and many clubs appreciate the 2 spacious dining rooms with kitchen facilities. Clubhouse 4 is a veritable beehive of creativity, opening new horizons for many whose careers left little time for hobbies, and affording skilled persons facilities to continue their crafts. The ladies make new clothes or learn to knit or create macrame, while men spend hours in this well-equipped woodshop, creating or repairing useful and decorative articles. In the pottery area, many try their hand at a new hobby. Soon they become more skillful. Others move on to create lovely things in porcelain. Beautiful objects are designed in the lapidary room. Gems set in silver or gold. Beginning and advanced photographers choose among 8 classes for photographic improvement. They find a well-equipped laboratory for developing film and making prints. Slideshow presenters and music lovers have a sound room in which to record narration or music. Painters enjoy a large studio where lovely works by experts and beginners are on display. Here, many novices discover hidden talent that enriches all the remaining years of life. Leisure World has hundreds of bridge players, Many enjoy this large room, accommodating 45 foursomes for instruction in contract and duplicate bridge. Clubhouse 6 is a gem of a small building. It was first used as a recreational facility for renters trying out life in Leisure World. Now it is an ideal setting for small luncheon and dinner events and such ceremonies as Leisure Worlder of the Month. As a salute to residents who have had distinguished careers and have contributed service to improve our community life, a program called Leisure Worlder of the Month was started in 1976. Opening in 1980, Clubhouse 5 was the last to be erected. It was designed for large luncheon and dinner groups and provided more space for ballroom dancing. Soon after its opening, this jolly group took advantage of the new facility. The swimming pool is popular with people living in this area. These 6 well-planned and equipped clubhouses are truly classroom and entertainment centers. Sports, too, are high on the list of activities in Leisure World. This 27-hole golf course was popular from the beginning. A second 9-hole course, termed the Executive Golf Course, was developed in the mid-70s. Tennis also has many participants who enjoy this active sport and the social activities accompanying tennis club membership. A group of enthusiasts among the early settlers formed the Shuffleboard Club, which has attracted 700 participants over the years. Today they have a building near the mini-gym where players enjoy the game and social activities. Bowling on the Green attracts many residents. They participate in contests with teams from other areas, sometimes as far away as Scotland or Australia. Horseback riding has its devotees, who enjoy hours of pleasure over our disappearing hill country. This is a fun-loving community, too. The women golfers enjoy a Mexican evening. And we love parades. Residents staged parades for Leisure World's 10th, 20th, and 25th anniversaries and showed their patriotism when the nation celebrated its bicentennial. The band from the nearby Marine base led the parade. Some of our neighbors showed their fun-loving spirit by giving a new look to fire hydrants. In 1974, a new facility was completed. Standing on a rise, the imposing twin towers of 14 stories give owners of the 311 units splendid views by day and a veritable jewel box effect by night. The 2 towers, connected on the first 3 floors, provide 2 spacious dining rooms, attractive small parlors, and an all-purpose auditorium in almost daily use for many kinds of events. A caring group of ladies called the Ladies' Workshop makes gifts for the Home for Battered and Abused Children. One does the stitching, and the others knit, cut out patterns, and stuff colorful dolls and animals to delight the children. With the building of Gate 11 area, some single homes were constructed. Large buildings with more spacious apartments began to show in the Gate 14 area to accommodate those desiring larger facilities. Leisure World was continuing to attract those of modest means as well as more affluent retirees. In 1982, building was completed and Rossmore Corporation was liquidated. How often have we said, "Look at that." It makes one grateful to be alive. Grateful to whom? From the beginning of history, men and women have groped for the answer and have valued beyond measure the gift of faith. Recognizing their need, the founder of Leisure World donated most of the land for those of a faith who wish to build their own religious structure. When the first families came, only this small Episcopal mission church stood on El Toro Road near the railroad tracks. In the beginning, Some denominations held services in the clubhouses. A few still do. More recently, new churches have been built. But those on El Toro and Moulton highways bordering Leisure World proclaim this a community of faith, a people of commitment, of willingness to work for the realization of their values and dreams. The last basic idea of our builder's vision had been realized. Our resident governing boards, with their professional management team and nearly 200 clubs supporting countless recreational, fraternal, and cultural activities, have discovered the secret of the good life. We who live here have found with the poet Tagore, there is no limit to the unfolding of oneself. As we celebrate this 25th anniversary, we look unto these hills and give thanks that in our later years we live where visions become realities.